The first thing is a textbook. Yeah, it's good to be with you guys. Very good to be with everybody. Do I really need to unmute? Or
No, not you.
Somebody
you
needs
need
to
to be
mute.
unmuted.
There you go.
Sorry?
You need to be unmuted.
I need to be unmuted. Okay. This is going to take a little bit of work. Because when I have my slideshow up, I don't have a cursor. Has everybody been in this place before? I have no idea how to unmute myself. Okay.
You may have to ask the host to unmute you.
I have to do that.
Did it.
There you go. Now you're
Okay, testing.
Now you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Are we back? All right. I can hear myself. Well, welcome everybody. Mark, you really gave a great introduction as to what this day is about. That's annoying.
Just turn your volume down.
Okay. Yeah. You don't need to hear me twice.
Barb, could you talk a little louder for those of us who are over 30?
Yes, I'll do my very best. We're all in that together. So I do want to thank the board once again for giving me this chance to do this. Each year it provides new challenges, and this is a different one than we've had in the past. And thank you, Dave and Mark, for hanging in, and Keith, too, for trying to figure out all this tech business. Bonnie, special thanks to you, because you do get the names of so many people that you share with me, and we work together on it. But especially thanks today for you who have come, the family members. And you're just going to have to play with me because I tear up when I read greeting cards. So it's all a part of joy and love and celebration. But thank you for coming in the middle of your grief. I'm hoping that with each slide, I would love to have family members show your hands. And if I have left out a story that's just brewing up inside of you that needs to be told at that moment, raise your hand and let's allow time for just a brief, you'll see that I have bulleted points. So just as something short that maybe I've missed. I've used obituaries for my sources, so thank you for writing awesome obituaries. Some of them I actually told the people these stories need to be submitted to the Historical Society, to the museum, to be kept on record if they aren't already. And a few of you have been able to have visits with, and I always appreciate that. But I think I have 22 people on the slides today. So we'll honor that time and enjoy this time of getting to know your neighbors, getting to know each other as we sit here today, and we'll get to know our neighbors who have passed on this last year. Again, this is a year of celebration with the Historical Society. It's the 20th anniversary of the Historical Society and the 15th anniversary of the museum being open. And I just want to take advantage of that to let you know that back in the day, before they were Historical Society membership meetings, they were community meetings when Betty Hempstead was getting us organized with flip charts all around the room, and you would sign up for what you were going to do to make this museum become a reality. And at the end of those meetings, she would always ask if somebody had a story to tell, or if somebody knew of someone who had passed away, they would name that person. So this stems from that, from those very beginning roots. And then as the Historical Society went on, they created a mission, and the mission statement is this: the Gunflint Trail Historical Society builds community by connecting people to the Gunflint Trail region, sharing its natural and cultural history. So clearly, we're making history right now. We're showing and sharing the cultural history, and the life of your loved ones is a part of that history of the Gunflint Trail. More than that, I know for each of you here, it's just really important and special that your loved one is remembered, that their time on the trail counted, you know it counted, but that we can recognize it in this community sense as well. So thanks again. Yeah, I did say that I try to keep a balance in all of this, but I will admit I have a bias when I know the person. I know things. I've lived here for over 20 years, so I know a lot of people. Oh, and just in part of the history, my name, Barb Botker, Betty Hempstead, in those original community meetings, she said to me, you know, Barb, you know, when are you going to be on the board? And I said, no, I've got enough going on, I can't do that. She goes, that's okay, you'll take your turn. So remember those words of Betty Hempstead for everyone who has signed up to serve on the board or a committee or volunteer. I took my turn. I was on the board for 10 years and in the role of secretary and then VP president, past president, and I still get to do this. I've been doing this for 9 years. So, oh, this other thing that's become part of this tradition is this singing bowl. It's related to the heart chakra, and that is related to the emotion of compassion, which, look, the room will be filled with compassion today. So after each name, I will ring this bell, the singing bowl. So with that, let's begin. We're always trying to describe what makes this place so special. I've chosen the words of John Hendrickson. We remember John in 2022 when he passed away at the age of 95. He wrote books, one of them called The Wild Neighborhood. And I think his recognition in these words helps us to understand this special place. And I can't see my slide. To the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe, the original people of this region, all creatures, including man, are related and dependent upon one another. There was much communication among them, as well as a deep sense of spiritual oneness. And we all know that. That's Honeymoon Bluff at the end of Hungry Jack Lake, by the way. And then there's Katie Slanga. You might have known her as Katie Mum. She grew up coming up to the Gunflint Trail with her grandparents that stayed at Bearskin Lodge. She's she's the young generation. You might know her from her photography. But she posted this on her Facebook page like a week ago, and I asked her if I could use it. And I think she is capturing the spirit of this place as well when she says, I believe that the Gunflint Trail holds a sacred stillness, a peace so deep, a solitude so pure, it feels like a whisper from the divine. It's what so many spend a lifetime searching for, and what a lucky few are blessed enough to find. Yep, we're still trying to describe it. You have your own words too. And with that, let us remember. Bruce Phillips. I don't have a picture, I don't have any information. I was given a name, but I included him because there's so many that come to the trail and leave the trail, and we don't even know their names. We don't even know they were here. But I bet they had an encounter with the spiritual or the divine when they were here. So I just want to name Bruce and all those that we've missed. This is Joel, I can't see my screen, Joel Anderson. Okay, sometimes we get word of things later on. Al, I think Alf Leader is here, family member. Al let me know about Joel's passing. He passed away in January of 2024, so a year and a half ago. At the age of 74, he was living in Lake Crystal in Marshall, Minnesota. Joel's youth was spent outdoors, fishing, hunting. His obituary was just everything about outdoors. He had a degree in wildlife biology, and his career was in wildlife management with Minnesota DNR, saying that he loved acquiring new wetland and wildlife areas for the state, preserving them. A self-taught handy person, in 1989, he and his wife Shirley built their cabin on West Twin Lake. Joel said, "If it can be done, I can do it." Al gave me this quote too that Joel used to always say jokingly, "I was wrong once, but then I found out I was wrong about that." He loved all things outdoors. Up north was his refuge. They spent as much time as possible at the cabin. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 64. His easygoing, fun-loving personality came through even in his final days. Remembering Joel. I'm going to go back and remembering all the Bruce Phillips that are out there as well. This is Jeff Nabel. Jeff Nabel. We might remember Jeff. He was killed in an awful snowmobile accident on Poplar Lake on January 18th, 2024, a year and a half ago, at the age of 39. Maybe he is a familiar face to you because he was at Trail Center and he was part of Sarah's community. He was a mainline cook there. He was just finding himself. He loved giving haircuts to family and friends. His dad said he found purpose up here. This was the place that mattered more to him than anywhere. Always up for an adventure. His favorite hobby was hiking with his dog, Ava. I think he was even starting a business that he was doing guided hikes for people. Remembering Jeff. Tom Holman on East Bearskin Lake. Just got word of his passing. It was in April 13th of 2024, at the age of 94 in Bloomington, Minnesota. Tom was a dedicated husband, father, and grandfather. He's survived by his wife, Betty, of 76 years. And I survived, 4 children, 11 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. Among his many interests, skilled builder of businesses and homes, longtime member of the Packard Club, okay, that's the car, the old Packard, and volunteer at Bridging, and I looked that up, they furnish homes for people transitioning out of homelessness. He was a lifelong musician, and his cabin on the Gunflint Trail, built in 1976, is still enjoyed by his family. Does Tom have any family members here today? I know Ginger is aware of them. Okay. Remembering Tom. Marianne Hussman. She passed away in July, just after our remembrance session of last year, July 13th of 2024, at the age of 85 in New Ulm, Minnesota. Okay. Born to Henry and Hilda Blevernick. Thank you. Her life was one of Christian service in the church and community. She was married to Charles for 64 years and they raised 4 children. They followed their dream and bought their cabin in 1994 on East Bearskin Lake. Her children carry on her legacy, all of them serving in Lutheran ministries. Does Marianne have any family here? Neighbors. Neighbors. Yeah, Bearskin's right there. All right. Remembering Marianne. Unless as neighbors you have a story of her that needs to be told. Okay. This is Jim Thomas. He worked for the Forest Service. He passed away after a 12-year battle with Alzheimer's at the age of 69 in Minneapolis. Again, passing away last July 18th. He had a BS in forestry from Michigan State University. I would suspect his entire career was with the Forest Service. And he was the Forest Service supervisor during the Ham Lake Fire. Maybe some of you remember him from that time. We got word of Jim's passing through his friend Jim Sanders, who is also a supervisor that we all remember, and he's been active with the Historical Society. In fact, he was part of the, well, he'd probably claim being part of the Sawdust Seniors. Remembering Jim. Norma Smith on Poplar Lake. Family of Norma here? Neighbors? She lived to the age of 94, passing away on July 31st in Rhinebeck, Iowa. She grew up in Iowa. She attended Iowa State Teaching College. She's 94 years old, Raymond. Think about what year that is. And she taught several years in one-room schoolhouses. She enjoyed gardening, baking delicious pies and cookies, crocheting, watching basketball, Caitlin Clark perhaps, and baseball, listening to country music. Most of all, she loved spending summers at her cabin with her family. Her daughter, Cindy Everson, lives in Grand Marais. She's been there for quite a while. And she said that they vacationed at Sea Island Lodge all of her life. And Cindy remembers driving up and down the trail looking for places for sale. They bought their first cabin in 1988, fixed it up and built a second one. It was their dream come true. They loved it up here. Those are actual quotes from her obituary. Remembering Norma. Ray Aarons, Hungry Jack Lake. I don't see any of my Hungry Jack neighbors, Ray's family here today. They give me some information, however. I just had to list all of this because, really? Ray passed away at the age of 94 in St. Paul last August 16th. He grew up in Buffalo, New York, was an artistic talent. I left out that he went to another college and learned and was in drama and theater. And then he attended Yale Divinity School and became the United Church of Christ minister. And then he became the director of child protection for the Department of Human Services in Hennepin County for 30 years. And then he served as board chair at Group Health when that company evolved into Health Partners. He loved to travel with his wife Diane, who predeceased him many years ago. They vacationed in Jamaica every winter. Most of all, he loved his time with family at the cabin on the historic north side of Hungry Jack. It was purchased sight unseen in 1972. No running water, no electricity, one little heating stove. There was a rotating exhibit of his artwork in the outhouse. So he kept that going through his life. And I talked to his son Clay, and Clay said they had many fun game nights with friendly competition, but quote unquote, we all knew we were no competition for Dad at Trivial Pursuits. His daughter Susie has that family cabin, and his son Clay has a cabin still on the north side of Hungry Jack, the historic side. And their grandson Forrest is the YMCA director at Camp Menosha. Remembering Ray. Fred Nordine from West Bearskin Lake. People that knew Fred, or friends that you knew Fred, yeah. He passed away at the age of 79 in Burnsville, Minnesota on September 16th of last year, of 2024. Fred's was a life, this is right out of his obituary, I love it. Fred's was a life of contributions to his family, friends, co-workers, Minojan, and the Boundary Waters. He was married to Kay, or Katie, for 44 years. He was, I want mine to sound like this, other than woman. A man of integrity. He was calm, logical, patient, measured with his words, exceptionally intelligent, organized, committed, eternally optimistic, and genuinely sincere. Everybody want to take that one? He took the city bus to downtown Minneapolis. Y, and he attended the fun camp and discovered his talent for swimming. So he's been involved with the Y since he was a kid. After his junior year in high school, began as a guide at Camp Minosian for 6 years, through college, I guess. He and other guides built the cabin, a rustic A-frame, and returned every year with alum and lifelong friends, calling themselves Men of the North. Does that A-frame still exist? Yeah. He earned his MBA from Stanford during the Summer of Love and attended many concerts. He gathered with each of his children and grandchildren when he knew his death was imminent, and told his grandchildren the way to their true self and true happiness was through treating others with respect, kindness, and compassion. He modeled it his whole life. His memorials go to Camp Minosian or Friends of the Boundary Waters. Remembering Fred. George Monkwitz. Okay. You know, and I hope a lot of these faces are at least familiar faces to you if you haven't seen them. His face is familiar to me. He passed away at the age of 98 in Maplewood, Minnesota on September 23rd of 2024. He served during World War II from 1944 to 1946 as a Navy Seabee in Okinawa, Japan. He worked as an architect in Madison, Wisconsin, and he cared for his mother, his aunt. He built birch bark canoes and volunteered at Juneau County Historical Society. That was in one line in his obituary. In Grand Marais, he was a canoe outfitter and he worked at Lake Superior Trading Post. He loved canoe trips, he loved hiking. In the evening, he would paddle out to Artist Point with his smoked fish dinner. I can see him out there. Always creative and artistic, he enjoyed photography, drawing, painting, handcrafting knives. His memorials go to Chik-Wauk. Remembering George. Kathy, and who can say her middle name? Her maiden name? Kalusiak?
I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. It's a Polish name, right?
Kusiak.
Kusiak. So Kathy Larson from Gunflint Lake. Kathy passed away at the age of 77 in Ames, Iowa, last October 5th, 2024. She was married to Dave in 1970. Dave passed away in 2017, and we remembered him that year after 47 years of marriage. Her career was in accounting at Iowa State University. She retired from that job in 2010. Kathy loved to cook, quilt, play 500, garden, entertain. And she refurbished and maintained rentals in Ames. Her biggest project was creating their Dream Lake place up north, where they spent most of their retirement. Up north, she was known for her Polish cooking, joke-telling, and witty humor. Frequent contributors, she and Dave were frequent contributors to the Nature Center, and her memorials go to Chik-Wauk. Remembering Kathy. Bob Olson, Clearwater Lake. Kay's here this afternoon. I see you, Kay. Thanks for being here. Bob passed away at the age of 79 in Grand Marais, Minnesota, his home on Clearwater, on October 9th, 2024, after a battle with glioblastoma. He grew up and attended schools in Duluth, Minnesota. He taught at Lowell Elementary for 34 years. And I have down here, he and his wife Kay built their house on Clearwater where they lived year-round after retirement. I saw Kay and I said, I know that's not right.
No, that part is.
That part is right? Okay. So she told me that In 1965, Bob built a cabin on East Bearskin.
West.
Oh, West Bearskin. West Bearskin, yeah, where Phil Sarin, Phil and Rhoda had that cabin. And then in 1972, he moved to Clearwater. And then in 2005, you built your new place, and then Vince retired. Got the years right?
You got it.
So Bob's been around the trail for a long time. And Kay said that he used to live up here all winter when she was in town working. He loved fishing, camping, snowmobiling, creating wood carvings. And now this makes sense that this article that I found in the New York Times in 1984 was written by William Sarin. It was a great article about life on the Gunflint Trail, but this quote was in there about Bob. Seems he was able to find fish even when others left fishing to talk about fishing. And Bob wrote his stories. He wrote and published 6 books, including A Slice of Life on the Gunflint and $2 and a Can of Gas about his grandfather's car, right?
That's a great story.
And do we have those at Chik-Wauk? Yeah. Remembering Bob. Bruce Kerfoot. I see Lee and Eva here, and I see, well, Sue, you were here earlier. Bruce left us last, oh, that's gonna make me cry. Last October, at the age of 85, in Osceola, Missouri. He was the son of Justine Kerfoot, who bought Gunflint Lodge back in the 30s. Bruce grew up here. He learned the way of life in the woods from his Anishinaabe neighbors and his nanny and the employees for the lodge. He attended Cornell University. He served as an officer in the U.S. Army. He and Sue were married for 56 years, and they ran the lodge together for 50 years. An awesome partnership, and as Sue says, soulmates. How else could you do that for 56 years? Pioneer and leader in the Gunflint Trail community. Instrumental visionary for establishment of the Gunflint Trail Historical Society in Chik-Wauk. Those first 5 years between the establishment of the Historical Society and the opening of the museum, he was primarily responsible for raising the money to make it happen. And he was still raising money in 2024 last year. He worked up until the time of his death. He was a member of the Sawdust Seniors. The Sawdust Seniors was a group of men, along with others, who fashioned the timbers for the watercraft exhibit building. They were all volunteers that took a class down at North House and put those together. And then the Sawdust Seniors went ahead and enclosed the whole thing and put the roof and the siding and finished it off. Bruce was charismatic, generous, curious, adventurous, dedicated, and passionate. He and Sue traveled the world. And there's a celebration of his life this Saturday. Sue, I just took the liberty of putting this in here because it's open to the public. This Saturday, 1:30 to 4:30 at the Gunflint Conference Center. And his memorials go to Chik-Wauk. I just have one story. Last year when we did this, Bruce and Sue came up to me, and Bruce, looking me straight in the eye, just said, "I just want you to know you do a really wonderful job. I really appreciate your doing this." And I'm saying thank you. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, and may I never have to do yours. And then here I am. But in a sense, he prepared me for that. Yeah, and he's smiling right now. So Bruce is one of those that we all know, right on the trail. He made a big mark. Bruce Phillips, we have no idea who that is. But I would say that what we've come to know living up here, you know, who gets more respect? The butterfly or the bear? We respect them all, do we not? For their time. Others make bigger footprints than others, and their lives matter. Remembering Bruce. Tom Probst, Clearwater Lake. Family members here? Neighbors? Okay, yeah. Tom lived to be 98 years old. Passed away in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Passed away last October 25th. Tom was a McAllister grad, began his career writing for the Stars and Stripes during the Korean War. He was married to his wife Jean for 73 years. She survives him, as well as 4 children. In 1976, he formed his own public relations firm, serving select clients for the rest of his life. He loved to travel, especially to Puerto Vallarta, where they helped to launch the Instituto Anglo-Americano Escuela. Most of all, they loved spending time at their cabin. That is the sentence out of every obituary. Most of all, they loved time at their cabin. He was remembered for his boundless curiosity, selfless generosity, and infectious sense of humor. Remembering Tom. Pamela Middlefelt from Hungry Jack Lake. Pamela passed away last November 27th at the age of 78, living in Duluth, Minnesota. Pamela lived a life of listening, learning, and leading. She was a successful writer, a parent, partner, and professor. She had 3 master's degrees and a PhD. She taught at community colleges, state colleges, and universities. I talked to her son, Noah, and he said their family started vacationing at Tuscarora in the late 1970s. And this picture is with her daughter, Sarah, and granddaughter. But in 1984, they bought a secluded 14 by 20 log bunkhouse on Hungry Jack. It was the original starting of the Adventurous Christians program, if anybody knows that history. And the logs that built that bunkhouse were salvaged from the 1968 fire on Hungry Jack when I was 11 years old, and I remember it well. The next summer, the family and co-workers built a cabin adjacent to that bunkhouse. And then in 2008, they rebuilt that original bunkhouse as a writing cabin for Pamela, where she read countless books and wrote about her favorite subjects. She created many wonderful memories for her children and grandchildren, and leaves behind her husband Bill as well, but I didn't put that in there. Remembering Pamela. Jim Letourneau. Charlene's right here with us. Jim passed away on December 14th at the age of 88. Jim graduated from high school in Fifield, Wisconsin. He enlisted in the U.S. Army. He served in France following World War II. And he later graduated from Wisconsin State College in Superior. Then he moved to Alaska and he worked for the Department of Transportation. I don't know the specific years, whether that matters or not. But he was married to Charlene for 31 years. Charlene told me that her friend, back 31 years ago, wrote to tell her that she found a guy in Alaska for her. They met and married in Eagle, Alaska, after 1 month of a writing and calling courtship. In retirement, they live between Eagle and Gunflint Lake. Charlene says, he was a beer brewer with many friends. He was a kind, generous, loving goofball, full of humor, quips and stories of his life in Alaska. And, you know, Charlene, if I needed to describe you, it would be that last sentence. Kind, generous, loving goofball, full of humor and quips and stories. Yeah. Remembering Jim. Daryl Rosbaka from Clearwater Lake. I know neighbors. Family? Oh, you're here. Hello. And remind me of your name. Martha, thank you. Good to see you. If you recognize Daryl, he always looked like that. He always had a happy smile on his face. He passed away on December 30th at the age of 85 in Grand Marais. Born to Urho and Hilma in Cloquet, Minnesota. What's the heritage, Rosbaka?
Finnish.
Finnish, thank you. I know so.
Grandparents.
Both grandparents came from Finland and his parents as well, possibly.
No,
Just,
they're Finnish.
okay, they're Finnish, but back to his grandparents. Finnish. He earned his BS in social studies, minor in physical education from the University of Minnesota Duluth, and then later acquired a master's in education. His entire career, he taught at Cook County High School. Retired there in 1998. Very actively involved in the community. His favorite pastimes included fishing, hunting, baking bread, spending quality time at the Happy Shack on Clearwater. And I sat in that Happy Shack during our fundraiser in 2013 as a host. And it's a happy place. Yeah. Remembering Daryl. Her family is here. Dodie. Am I saying her name correctly? Duty. Where are you? There you are, Carol. Duty. Duty. Dorothy. Passed away at the age of 90 on January 31st of 2025. She was a registered nurse. She worked in Chicago and Minneapolis. With her second marriage to Don, she became a full-time mom to 7 kids under the age of 11. Her passion, volunteering, from Girl Scouts, YMCA camp, Idahuapi. Why did I leave these in here when I can't say them? Is that right? Idahuapi. Minneapolis Institute of Arts, to organizing, helping organizations that always were working with survivors of domestic abuse. She worked with AIDS. She worked with PFLAG, which is, what does it stand for? Parents of
Family
of lesbian, gay. Yeah. She co-founded Cornerstone Advocacy Service in 1983. Just Google it, you'll find out. It has grown to serve thousands of people annually, and that is about serving victims of domestic violence, sex trafficking, all sorts of trauma. And she was a lifetime member at Oak Grove Presbyterian Church. They purchased lake property in 1970. That's, 55 years ago. And built a home that is used today by the children and the grandchildren. It remains filled with memories of fishing, canoeing, cross-country skiing, socializing with friends and neighbors. After Don's death, she wintered in Green Valley, Arizona, where she volunteered with a group committed to saving lives and reducing suffering at the border. Her memorials go to Chik-Wauk or the Cornerstone Advocacy Service. Remembering Duty. Grant Parcells, Clearwater Lake. Is his wife here today? No. Grant passed away unexpectedly at his beloved cabin on Clearwater at the age of 66 on January 10th of 2025. Grant started his career as a carpenter after finishing high school. He specialized in home remodeling. He never found a project he couldn't handle. His wife Laura is the one that introduced him to Up North. They vacationed many years on the Gunflint Trail, and they spent 3 years searching for their place. And it said, quote unquote, on June 1st, 2015, they closed on paradise. Sounds like the lines to a song. He remodeled, updated the existing home and buildings, added a pole barn, Remember, there was never a project he couldn't handle. He learned how to timber frame as a Chik-Wauk volunteer that I was talking about. The group of, how many of us were there? Jim, how many were there?
18 of us.
18 of us? Okay. And yeah, Grant was John's partner in crime, fashioning timbers, and then came back 2 years later to raise the timbers at the Watercraft Exhibit Building. So after that, he learned how to timber frame, so he built himself a screen porch. And it was just going to be a screen porch, and it is probably the most gorgeous building, I think, on wheels. But it's heated, it has tile, it has a beautiful ceiling fan, it's insulated, and then he built a wood shed next to it to feed the little stove that he put out there. It was his favorite place. He was so creative, had such an eye for detail and making beautiful solutions with his hands. There are many stories like that over the 10 years at that cabin. His memorials go to the Gunflint Trail Fire Department, the North House Folk School, and Hamilton Habitat in town, Grand Marais, who's helping to build affordable housing. Remembering Grant. David Lemke, Gunflint Lake. David lived to be the age 93. I don't know where he was living, if anybody knows. May 15th, just this past spring, he passed away. He built his cabin in 1957 with the help of his younger brothers. He used this cabin in the winter. In the summertime, it was a radio base and a refueling station, so he could hop in his Cessna seaplane from Devil's Track and go to the Boundary Waters or to Canada. Do you remember this, Nancy?
Yes.
Kind of?
Yeah, choosing the corners of my mind here.
Okay. After 1978 and the Wilderness Act, he kept flying to his fishing camp in Ontario because it wasn't remote enough up on Gunflint Lake for him. Yeah, and he would stop only in Grand Marais if the weather was bad and he needed to spend a night here or something. But that place became a family cabin, and he was lured back to it with his grannies to see his great nieces and nephews. There are stories of building the cabin. Oh, he would tell the stories of building the cabin, of skiing, of flying all the while he was serving as master of ceremonies over dinner and table games. His legacy lives on. His nephew Wayne now has a cabin on Gunflint, and so the stories will continue around the card tables at both cabins. Remembering David. Barbara Omoth. Am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Okay. Her daughter Nancy is here today. Barbara, on Gunflint Lake, lived to the age of 93, passing away in Minneapolis just a couple of weeks ago, June 23rd. Her father, your grandfather, a lawyer, defended bootleggers in the 1930s. So Gunflint Lake, coming over the Canadian border, airplanes, he was in there. And one client paid him with a cabin on Cascade Beach Road down on the North Shore. I don't know what year that was.
In the 30s.
In the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it was happening. Barbara and her sister wanted to be on an inland lake. So their parents acquired the cabin on Gunflint Lake in 1959. It started with no utilities or an indoor bathroom, but renovations happened over the years. I think Nancy said, you know, they came from Lake Minnetonka, spent some time at Cascade Beach, and then came up here to rustic.
Yes, we love rustic.
And they loved the rustic. As the family grew, more cabins were acquired on Gunflint Lake and on Hungry Jack, where her daughter and Randy live, or have a place. This photo, which I love, was taken on her last trip to her cabin just 3 years ago. She's a beautiful woman who loved Dayton's as much as she loved the great outdoors. It's a great line. Remembering Barbara. Those are the names of the people we had this year. And I'm just going to ring the bell for each one. We take this time to remember them here, but we know the trees, the waters, the rocks, the wild creatures, they hold the memories through the ages. Time is different on the Gunflint Trail. The past, the present, the future, it's all here in every moment. It's a magical place. May your memories continue to bless you, knowing that in this magical place, all is well, all will be well, and all manner of things will be well. From St. Julian of Norwich. Thank you. And they're remembering their smiling faces. So no one spoke up as I went through the slides. Does anybody have a story brewing that needs to be told? Dan Bauman.
I tried, but you could tell before.
Oh!
And with respect to the Kirkwoods, with Bruce and Sue.
Hey, Dan, you come up?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was just
You're not
going
going to get
to.
anybody else to
No.
come up now.
Don't give him a microphone, because I know that.
I know.
No,
That's good.
that's good.
Okay.
I didn't see it listed up there, but I want you all to know Bruce and Sue planted a seed. Bruce saw a vision with Sue and some others back in 1980, 81. In 1982, the Gunflint Trail Fire and Rescue Squad was born. They're the co-founders of that organization. Today, this fire department is from that seed. And I really think it should be mentioned that Bruce and Sue are important factors of why we have this fire department of today. And I thank you, Sue.
Yeah. That absolutely should have been on there. And another thing, I got to serve on the board with Bruce, and I realized he was never the president of the board. All the years that he has worked with this organization, starting it, raising the money for it, and talking to Sue, I realized, oh, because he's brilliant. He knew he could get a whole lot more done than sitting in a board meeting. Or running a board meeting. He came to board meetings, but he was the guy that thought outside the box with his partner in crime, Bill Douglas. So yeah. Anyone else, please?
Thank you.
I'm not good at talking in public, but anyway, I want to talk about Bob Olson.
And say your name.
Anyway,
Will you say your name?
What is your name?
Your name.
Don Boostrom. Anyway, Bob loved the Gunflint Trail. He loved the wilderness. If he would have been 50 years older, he would have been a pioneer like my grandfather. He loved my family. He loved Charlie and Petra. They would take him in when he was younger. And he built from that. He loved my uncles. But he was everybody. He was so friendly to everybody. He would always do something for somebody no matter what. And anyway, he was such a great guy. And I really, really miss him. Like he could catch fish and I couldn't. And it always made me so sad because he just knew how to do it. And then one more thing about Daryl Rosebacher. He was, I know I look too old, but he was one of my favorite teachers. So he was one of my teachers. And he was a great guy.
And I was a member of his first class in Grand Lake.
1961.
And Vi has a word to share.
I just wanted to say a few words about Bruce Phillips since we don't have much information. He was a neighbor on South Gunflint Lake Road, and I don't think anybody really knew Bruce very well except his dog. He always had a wonderful dog, and that was his best friend through life. We got to know him a little bit when he would show up on Wednesday night suppers, the Gunflint Geezers. We'd go to Trail Center on Wednesday nights. But he stayed to himself. He lived year-round for the last years of his life. He died in his cabin, as he would have wanted to do. He was a neighbor.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did everybody on Zoom hear that? Nodding heads, you heard it? Okay, good. Okay. Anyone else? Stories are what keep us together as community, is how we share our cultural history. So if there's something there.
Maybe someone on Zoom has something, or is that impossible to share?
We're not gonna
I have no
go there.
idea. If that's anybody on Zoom? Fred, Fran, Bill, Sue, who else? I only see them. So anybody on Zoom that has something to share?
Oh, good, go ahead.
I'm Hugh McGill, and my wife and I live in Clearwater. And one of the things that really strikes me about this is the way in which these have practiced the gift of hospitality to welcome others into this beautiful place. And we were the beneficiaries of Bob's hospitality and Daryl and Martha's hospitality and Kay's hospitality. They didn't guard the place in a sense to keep it to themselves, but they welcomed others into things that they knew. And when you come here the first time, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn about how to live in a place this remote. And that kind of hospitality is a beautiful gift. And I suspect others have been beneficiaries of that as well as we have been.
Wonderful. Thanks, Hugh. Is there a story brewing?
Well, I could add something. I'm not sure if this is a specific story or not.
Please do.
But my husband, Bob, loved winter. That was his season. He just loved winter. And he loved to snowmobile. And I remember he had gotten a new snowmobile. He was all excited about it. He was so excited. And 2 years later, he was back down to Steve's and he was going to trade it in. And Steve said, it's only 2 years old. He had 2,000 miles on it. He loved to snowmobile.
Bonnie, way in the back.
I actually ran into Bob. We were on the North Shore, my husband and I, snowmobiling, and it was a lot of drifts. I remember that winter. It was like one lane on the North Shore. You were snowmobiling, and all of a sudden, here comes this guy around the corner, and he's flagging us down. And there was a lot of trees down on the trail, and it was Bob. And he was just coming back from, was it Barnum? Did you have?
Hoyt Lakes.
Hoyt Lakes, yes. And he was just coming back from Hoyt Lakes. And he said, yeah, I live up on the trail, and here we are in the North Shore talking about the trail and everything. So it was great to meet him then. And I know he used to be the groomer on the Gunflint Trail too, and groomed a lot of the snowmobile trails up here. So thank you. Yeah.
And he had a harrowing story told in that 1984 article about out in the wintertime. I don't know if he was snowmobiling or ice fishing or something, that he fell flat in his face on a lake. Did you live that story yet?
He was coming back from, he'd been down by Greenwood shoveling somebody's roof, and he was coming back, and by the time he got to East Bearskin, he was exhausted. The snowmobile had run out of gas. And he was walking back, and yeah, if there hadn't been a couple of young men who were chopping wood near East Bearskin, he might not have survived.
Yeah. So I think he is a pioneer. Darn. Yeah. I'm sure we've got time for another one.
Barb, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I got
thank
one
you,
more.
thank you.
I know, it
Good.
takes time to percolate.
I'm Susan Alexander from East Bearskin Lake, and Mary Hussman and Tom Holman are our neighbors. Mary and Chuck Hussman were friends with my mom and dad for 65 years maybe, and they camped up here first up at Seagull, I guess? Seagull Lodge? Anyway, Gunflint. Well, we camped at Gunflint Pines. We camped at Oconto when I was a young child. We bought a cabin when I was young in the mid-70s, and then they bought a cabin after that. But they came and visited our cabin all the time, and they were great friends, and so we miss them, and Tom was their neighbor too. Yep.
Remember them well. Thank you.
Okay.
Going once, going twice, another burning story. Well, you can continue to talk amongst yourselves and get to know one another. And I'm sure there are treats to be had
There are.
on the back table.
Enjoy.
Good. Thanks again for
And
being
Barbara, thank you.